The creature's roar shook the reinforced walls of Detention Block 7. Scientists scrambled backward as another set of titanium restraints snapped like dried twigs. Blood dripped from fresh wounds on the security team's arms where razor-sharp claws had found their marks during the last failed sedation attempt. Commander Lisa Grant watched through bulletproof glass as her best people retreated from the cell. The alien stood 12 feet tall, covered in obsidian scales that seemed to absorb light itself. Its forearms ended in curved talons that had already killed 3 guards and injured 17 more since its capture 6 days ago. "Hit it again," she ordered into her comm. The Tranquilizer team fired. Darts loaded with enough sedative to drop an elephant struck the creature's chest. It didn't even flinch. Instead, it grabbed the nearest steel bench and hurled it at the observation window. Cracks spiderwebbed across the glass. "Ma'am, we've tried everything," Dr. Richard Hayes gasped, wiping sweat from his forehead. "Sedatives, neural disruptors, electromagnetic pulses. Nothing works. Its biology adapts faster than we can compensate." Lisa's jaw tightened. The creature had been found in the wreckage of an unidentified vessel that crashed in Nevada. Every attempt to study it, contain it, or communicate with it had ended in violence. Military command wanted answers. They wanted to know where it came from, why it was here, and whether more were coming. The alien charged the door. Metal groaned under the impact. Alarms screamed through the facility. "Evacuate this level," Lisa commanded. "Seal it off and flood the block with cryogas." "That'll kill it," Hayes protested. "Better than letting it reach the surface." Before anyone could move, a voice crackled over the intercom. "Commander Grant, we have an unconventional solution." Lisa spun toward the speaker. "Who is this?" "Colonel Dan Morris, Xenobiology Division. I have someone who might help. We don't have time for might. This person has experience with hostile extraterrestrial life. Let them try." Lisa glanced at the creature. It was tearing through the door's locking mechanism with methodical precision. Minutes, maybe seconds, remained. "Send them." The elevator doors opened 90 seconds later. A woman in civilian clothes stepped out, carrying nothing but a small backpack. She was perhaps 30 years old, with dark hair tied back and calm eyes that suggested she'd seen worse than this. "You're the expert?" Lisa asked incredulously. "Name's Kate Morrison. I worked first contact scenarios in deep space for 8 years. Saw things that would make your nightmares seem pleasant." Another crash from the cell. The door was nearly breached. "It's killed people," Lisa said. "It's violent, unpredictable, immune to everything we've tried." Kate walked toward the observation window, studying the creature as it raged. "You've been treating it like a prisoner. Like something to control. It is a prisoner. No." Kate turned to face her. "It's terrified." Lisa laughed bitterly. "That thing is terrified?" "It's a killing machine. Everything kills when it's scared enough." Kate unslung her backpack. "You've hit it with chains, drugs, weapons. You've proven you're a threat. Let me show it we're not." "With what?" Kate pulled out a simple object that made everyone in the observation room freeze in confusion. "You can't be serious," Hayes whispered. The creature smashed through the final lock. The door flew open. It stepped into the corridor, breathing hard, scanning for threats. Its eyes locked on the observation window, on the humans behind it. Kate walked forward, completely exposed, holding her offering. "Morrison, get back!" Lisa shouted. The alien's muscles tensed to strike. Its claws extended, dripping with dark fluid. It could cross the distance in 2 seconds and tear Kate apart before anyone could fire a shot. Kate didn't run. She didn't raise her hands in surrender. She simply stood there, waiting. The creature took 1 step toward her. Then another. Its breathing slowed. Those black eyes, which had shown only rage for 6 days, flickered with something else. Recognition. Kate slowly, carefully extended what she held. The alien stopped 3 feet away, towering over her. For a moment, nothing moved. The entire facility held its breath. Then the creature did something no one expected, something that changed everything humanity thought it knew about first contact. It sat down. Kate Morrison had walked into the most dangerous situation in the facility's history, with nothing but understanding and an object so simple, so fundamentally universal, that it transcended species, language, and fear itself. The alien reached out with 1 massive claw and gently, impossibly gently touched what Kate offered, and that was when Commander Lisa Grant realized they'd been wrong about everything from the very beginning. The creature's breathing steadied as Kate remained perfectly still. Behind the observation glass, security teams had their weapons trained on the scene, fingers hovering over triggers. Dr. Hayes muttered calculations into his tablet, trying to understand what was happening. Kate kept her posture open and non-threatening. The alien's claw traced the edges of the object in her hands with surprising delicacy. Its eyes, which moments ago had blazed with fury, now showed intense curiosity. "Morrison?" Lisa's voice came through the hallway speakers, tight with tension. "What exactly are you doing?"
"Building trust," Kate replied softly, not breaking eye contact with the creature.
"Commander, I need everyone to lower their weapons. Now, if you want answers, instead of a corpse, you'll do it. This being consents hostile intent."
"You're making it defensive."
Lisa hesitated. Everything in her training screamed against this, but 6 days of failure couldn't be ignored. She gave the order. The creature's head tilted as weapons lowered. Its posture shifted, becoming less coiled, less ready to strike. Kate took this as encouragement. "I'm going to sit down," she announced calmly. Nice and slow, she lowered herself to the floor, crossing her legs. The alien watched every movement with predatory focus, but didn't attack. After a moment, it shifted its weight, settling into a more stable seated position. Kate placed the object between them. It was a child's picture book, worn pages, simple illustrations, stories about friendship and home. "You think it can read English?" Hayes asked over the comm, incredulous. "I think it understands loss," Kate answered. She opened the book to the first page, a drawing of a small house under a yellow sun. The alien leaned forward. One claw pointed at the house, then at its own chest. A low sound emerged from its throat. Not a roar, something closer to a whimper. Kate nodded slowly. "You had a home." "I understand." She turned the page. 2 figures standing together. The alien made that sound again, more urgent this time. It gestured at the figures, then around the empty corridor, then back at itself. "You're alone," Kate said. "Your people. Your family. You don't know where they are." The creature's whole body seemed to sag. For the first time since its capture, the violence drained away, replaced by something rawly emotional. It placed both right arms over its chest, a gesture that needed no translation. Kate turned another page. Images of stars, of travel, of journeys across darkness. The alien's breathing quickened. It pointed at the stars, then at the ceiling, then made a sweeping gesture toward the walls. Its meaning was clear. Trapped. Separated from the vast expanse it belonged to. "It's been trying to escape," Kate said for the benefit of those listening. "Not to attack, to find its way home." "That doesn't explain the deaths," Lisa said, though her voice had softened. "Imagine waking up in an alien facility. Different gravity, different air, different everything. Beings you've never seen are restraining you, stabbing you with needles, hitting you with energy weapons. What would you do?" Silence from the observation room. Kate carefully reached into her backpack again. The alien tensed but didn't retreat. She pulled out a simple protein bar and unwrapped it slowly, taking a small bite. Then she offered the rest. The alien stared at the food. Its hand trembled as it reached out. Kate placed the bar in its palm. It sniffed carefully, touched the food to its mouth, took a tentative bite. The transformation was immediate. The creature's entire body relaxed. It consumed the food quickly, then looked at Kate with what could only be described as desperate hope. "When was the last time you fed it?" Kate asked. Hayes cleared his throat. "We tried. It wouldn't accept anything. Destroyed every food container we sent in. Because you sent it in on automated trays through slots in the walls, like feeding a caged animal." Tate shook her head. "This species is clearly social. It needed interaction, not isolation." She pulled out another protein bar. This time the alien took it from her hand with surprising gentleness, careful not to scratch her with its claws. As it ate, Kate continued turning pages in the book. She narrated simply, pointing at pictures. The alien followed along, occasionally making sounds that might have been its language. Its body language grew increasingly relaxed. "I can't believe this is working," Lisa breathed. "Humans aren't the only species that needs connection," Kate said. "We're not the only ones who feel fear or loss or hope. We just forgot that in our rush to control something we didn't understand." The alien finished eating. It looked at Kate for a long moment, then did something that made everyone gasp. It extended one massive claw and gently touched Kate's shoulder. Not a grab. A gesture of acknowledgement, perhaps even gratitude. Kate smiled. "Yeah, I see you too." She stood slowly. The alien rose with her but made no aggressive moves. Kate gestured toward the observation window. These people need to understand you, and you need their help to get home. Can we try to work together? The alien looked at the window, at the assembled humans beyond, its claws flexed. Old instinct warred with new understanding. Kate pulled out one more item from her backpack, a simple star chart, the kind used in basic astronomy classes. She unfolded it and pointed at Earth. Then she gestured at the alien. It stared at the chart. One claw traced paths between stars, stopping at a cluster Kate didn't recognize. It tapped that section repeatedly, then looked at her with unmistakable longing. That's where you're from. The alien nodded, an unmistakably human gesture that it had somehow understood. Then let's get you home. Kate turned to the observation window. Commander Grant? Dr. Hayes, I'm bringing our guest to meet you properly. Please prepare a proper room, not a cell. A room. With food, with comfort. And for God's sake, treat this being like a person, not a specimen. Lisa's face appeared at the window. She studied the scene, the complete transformation in the creature's demeanor. Finally, she nodded. Dr. Hayes, prepare guest quarters on level 3. Full environmental controls, food from the commissary, and tell security to stand down to defensive positions only. The alien's head swiveled toward Lisa's voice. It made a low sound, different from before, almost questioning. Kate gestured toward the observation room door. Come on, let's go meet the others. The alien hesitated at the threshold. This was the moment of real trust. It could easily overpower everyone, try to fight its way out. Instead, it ducked through the doorway and followed Kate Morrison into a future neither species had anticipated. In the observation room, scientists and soldiers alike backed up reflexively as the alien entered. But Kate walked calmly to Commander Grant and extended her hand. Commander, I'd like to introduce you to our first real extraterrestrial contact. They don't have a name we can pronounce yet, but they're intelligent, emotional, and desperately lost. They deserve our help, not our fear. Lisa looked at the towering alien, at the claws that had killed her people, at the eyes that now showed caution instead of rage. She made a decision that would define humanity's future among the stars. She stepped forward and offered her hand, not to the alien, but to Kate. Thank you, Morrison. We needed someone to see past our assumptions. The alien watched this exchange. Slowly, carefully, it extended its own hand, not in threat, in greeting. Lisa took a breath and reached up to touch the alien's palm. First contact. Real contact, not through violence or restraints, but through the simple recognition that intelligence, wherever it came from, deserved respect. The alien made a sound like a rumbling purr. Its stance relaxed completely. Kate smiled. Now we can start learning from each other. As security escorted them all toward the guest quarters, Kate kept the picture book tucked under her arm. Sometimes the most advanced technology humanity possessed wasn't weapons or restraints or sedatives. Sometimes it was just the willingness to see another being's pain and respond with compassion instead of fear. The rest of the facility would talk about this day for years. The day a human walked into certain death with nothing but a children's book and changed everything. Dr. Hayes jogged to catch up with Kate as they walked through the corridor. The alien moved between them with surprising grace despite its size, occasionally glancing at the armed guards who now maintained a respectful distance. Morrison, I need to understand this, Hayes said, his scientific curiosity overriding his earlier fear. How did you know that would work? We tried communication protocols, mathematical sequences, even musical tones. Nothing got through. Kate glanced at the alien, who was examining the fluorescent lights overhead with interest. Because you were trying to prove you were intelligent. This being didn't need proof of your intelligence. It needed proof of your empathy. A picture book proved empathy? Think about it. What's the first thing we do when children are scared? We read to them. We show them images of home, of safety, of not being alone. Fear is universal. So is the need for comfort. The alien made a chirping sound and pointed at a window showing the night sky. Its gesture was almost childlike in its eagerness. It wants to see the stars, Kate observed. Commander, can we route through the observation deck? Lisa consulted her tablet. It's 3 levels up, but yes. Security adjust our path. They took an elevator that barely fit the alien's massive frame. It had to crouch, and Kate noticed how it pulled its arms in carefully, trying not to damage the equipment. The gesture spoke volumes about its awareness and self-control. When the doors opened onto the observation deck, with its panoramic view of the desert night sky, the alien rushed forward and pressed against the glass. The sounds it made now were unmistakably excited, almost joyful. It pointed at different stars, tracing patterns, gesturing wildly as if trying to explain something. "It's trying to show us its journey," Kate said. "Dr. Hayes, can you record this? Match its gestures to stellar coordinates?" Hayes was already on it, his tablet capturing every movement. "This is incredible." The alien continued its stellar pantomime for several minutes before its energy seemed to flag. It slumped against the window, and Kate caught a tremor running through its body. "It's exhausted," she said. "Commander, those guest quarters? This way." They arrived at what had been a conference room, hastily converted. A large mattress on the floor, tables with various foods, water and temperature controls set to match the best guess at comfortable levels. The alien entered cautiously, sniffing the air. It approached the food table and examined each item with care. Finally, it selected an apple, turning it over in its claws with fascination. "Fruit," Kate said, miming eating. "Safe." "Good." The alien bit into the apple. Juice ran down its chin. It made a pleased rumble and consumed 3 more in rapid succession. "When did it last eat on its ship?" Lisa wondered aloud. "Maybe never," Kate said. "Look at it. This might be a juvenile. It could have been on a training flight or traveling with family when something went wrong." The alien moved to the mattress and prodded it experimentally. When it compressed under the pressure, the being seemed delighted. It sat down heavily, testing the softness. "It's never seen a cushioned surface before," Hayes whispered, documenting everything. Kate sat on the floor near the mattress, not too close. "You're safe now. Rest." The alien looked at her with those dark eyes. Then it did something that made everyone's breath catch. It reached out and gently touched Kate's hair, letting the strands run through its claws with wonder. "Different from its species," Kate said softly. "It's curious about us, too." The alien withdrew its hand and curled up on the mattress. Within minutes, its breathing deepened into what could only be sleep. The first real sleep it had probably gotten since the crash. Lisa gestured everyone out quietly. Once the door was sealed, she turned to Kate. "I need you to stay on this project." "Name your price." Kate shook her head. "I don't want money. I want authority. Full authority over first contact protocols, with your backing." "That's a big ask. You've spent 6 days trying to dominate a terrified child. Imagine if that's how we approach every species we meet out there. We need to do better." Lisa considered this. "What's your background, really?" "Deep space first contact scenarios. That's classified work." "I was part of the Kepler initiative. We encountered 17 different species over 8 years. Some friendly, some hostile, all misunderstood at first. I learned that the difference between war and peace often comes down to whether you approach someone with a weapon or a hand extended in friendship." 17 species? Hayes interrupted. "That's not public knowledge, because humanity isn't ready to know we're not alone. But now?" Kate gestured toward the door where the alien slept. "Now one of them is here, on Earth, and we can't hide anymore. How we treat this being will determine how humanity is treated when we finally venture out there."
Lisa absorbed this.
"You think more are coming?" "I think this one wants to go home. And when it does, it will tell its people what happened here. Whether that's a story of torture and imprisonment, or of rescue and kindness, is up to us." The weight of that reality settled on everyone present. "You have your authority," Lisa said finally. "Report directly to me. But, Morrison, if this goes wrong, it won't. Not if we remember that behind every unknown, every alien face, there's a person just trying to survive. Just like us." Over the next 3 days, Kate established a routine with the alien. She brought meals, sat with it during eating times, and continued their picture book sessions. The being learned to recognize certain English words and started attempting to vocalize them, though its anatomy made some sounds impossible. It learned to write using a stylus designed for its claws. Simple things at first, symbols for yes, no, home, sky, fear, friend. That was the word it used for Kate, carefully traced on a tablet screen. Dr. Bayvie. Hayes developed a more sophisticated communication interface, using the patterns the alien had shown on the observation deck. By matching its gestures to stellar databases, they identified its home system, a cluster of stars 47 light-years away that humanity had cataloged but never visited. "It's impossible," Hayes said during a briefing. "Even if we had the capability to send a message at light speed, it would take 47 years to reach them, and we don't have that capability." The alien, now present at meetings, slumped when this was explained. Kate had developed enough rapport to read its body language. This was despair. There has to be a way, Kate insisted. Its ship crashed. Where are the remains? Site 19 in Nevada, Lisa said. But it's completely destroyed. The crash scattered debris across 3 miles. Take me there. Take us there. Morrison, Commander, if there's any chance of salvaging communication equipment, we have to try. This being deserves to contact its family. Lisa looked at the alien, who watched the conversation with intelligent eyes, understanding more than it could express. All right. We leave at dawn. The Nevada desert stretched endlessly under a merciless sun. The crash site was a scar on the landscape, a blackened crater surrounded by scattered fragments of unknown metal. The alien approached the site slowly, reverently. It knelt at the crater's edge and made a keening sound that chilled everyone who heard it. Grief, pure and unmistakable. Kate placed a hand on its shoulder. I'm sorry. It touched her hand in acknowledgement, then stood and began walking through the debris field. Its claws traced over bent metal, scorched panels, pieces of technology that might have been beautiful before the impact. Finally, it stopped at a section of hull plating. Something about this piece was different. The alien carefully cleared away sand and revealed a panel with what looked like crystalline circuits. It turned to Hayes, gesturing urgently. That's part of the communication array, Hayes realized, scanning it with his equipment. Heavily damaged, but the core might be intact. Can we repair it? Kate asked. With what? We don't understand this technology. The alien made an insistent sound and pointed at itself, then at the panel. It could repair it, given the right tools and materials. Set up a workshop, Lisa ordered. Give it whatever it needs. For the next week, the alien worked. It became clear that this being wasn't just intelligent. It was highly skilled. It improvised, adapting human technology to fill gaps in its own. It communicated needs through drawings and gestures that grew increasingly sophisticated. Kate stayed with it through long nights, bringing food, offering encouragement, learning its language one sound at a time. Hayes and his team assisted, following the alien's instructions even when they didn't fully understand. They were witnessing something unprecedented, collaborative engineering between species. On the 8th day, the alien stepped back from its work. The communication device, cobbled together from its ship's remains and human components, hummed with power. The alien's hands trembled as it activated the interface. Holographic symbols appeared in the air, a language unlike any human writing. It input a sequence carefully, then waited. Seconds passed, then minutes. Kate held her breath. Everyone in the room was frozen, watching. The device flickered. Static. Then a sound emerged. Not human. Not Earth. A voice from 47 light-years away, transmitted through technology that shouldn't exist, that defied human understanding of physics. The alien collapsed to its knees. It responded in its language, words tumbling out in a rush of emotion. The voice from the device answered, equally emotional. They found it, Kate whispered. Its family. They've been searching. The conversation continued for 20 minutes. Near the end, the alien gestured for Kate to come closer. It pointed at her, then at the device, speaking to whoever was on the other end. The distant voice changed tone. If Kate didn't know better, she'd say it sounded surprised. Then grateful. The transmission ended. The alien turned to Kate with what she'd learned to recognize as its version of a smile. It placed both right hands over its heart, then extended them toward her. Thank you. Your people are coming for you? Kate asked. It nodded. Then it picked up the stylus and wrote on a tablet, 3 days. You come? Kate looked at Lisa, who had witnessed everything. You're asking if she wants to go with you? Lisa clarified. Into space? To meet your species? The alien nodded again. It wrote more. Friends, learn together. Show humans to stars. The room erupted in excited chatter. The implications were staggering. First contact had evolved into an invitation. Humanity could step onto the galactic stage not as conquerors or victims, but as friends. Kate felt tears on her cheeks. I'll come. The alien's joy was palpable. It lifted Kate off her feet in a careful hug, mindful of its strength. But, Kate said when it set her down, I need to know your name. Your real name. The alien made a complex sound like wind chimes in a storm. Kate tried to reproduce it, failed. Tried again. The alien made an amused rumble. It wrote phonetically, Kriara. Kriara, Kate repeated, getting closer this time. Kiara touched her shoulder approvingly, then wrote again, Kate Morrison. Friend who sees. Thank you. 3 days later, the Nevada sky split with light. A ship descended. Elegant and vast, technology centuries beyond humanity's capabilities. It landed with impossible grace 1/2 mile from the facility. Kriara stood at the front of the assembled group, trembling with anticipation. The ship's door opened, and 3 beings emerged. Taller than Kriara, their obsidian scales marked with patterns that might indicate age or rank. Kriara ran. There was no other word for it. The young alien sprinted across the sand and was caught up in 6 sets of arms, the reunion so emotionally raw that several watching humans wept openly. Eventually, Kriara returned, leading its people toward the human delegation. The tallest alien approached Commander Grant. When it spoke, a device on its chest translated into English. I am Matriarch Visha. You kept our child safe. For this, we are in your debt. Lisa straightened. Kriara kept itself safe.
We were just slow to understand.
But you learned. That is important. Visha turned to Kate. You are the one called Morrison? Yes, Matriarch. Kriara speaks highly of you. Says you have the gift of seeing beyond fear. This is rare among any species. Vise extended her hand in a human gesture that must have been learned from the transmission. We invite you to our world, to teach this gift to others, and to learn our ways. Kate shook the offered hand, marveling at the moment. I accept with honor. There are others who wish to come, Lisa interjected. Scientists, diplomats. If you're willing. In time, Visha said. First, let us build trust. Morrison will serve as bridge. If her reports are favorable, we will welcome more of your kind. It was diplomatic, sensible. Humanity would have to earn its place among the stars, not demand it. Preparations took hours. Kate packed light, mostly the picture book and personal items. She said goodbye to Hayes, to the security team she'd gotten to know, finally to Lisa. You're really doing this, Lisa said, leaving the Earth. I'm opening a door. Others will walk through it after me. Make sure they're ready. Teach them what we learned here. That the answer to the unknown isn't control, it's compassion. I will. Stay safe out there, Morrison. I'll do my best. Kate walked toward the ship with Kriara at her side. At the boarding ramp, she turned back for one last look at Earth's desert sky, at the humans who'd become her friends. Then she stepped aboard an alien vessel and into humanity's future. The ship's interior was beautiful. Organic curves, soft bioluminescence, technology integrated so seamlessly it seemed alive. Kriara led her through corridors filled with curious aliens, all wanting to see the human who'd befriended their lost child. In a chamber that seemed designed for gatherings, Matriarch Visha addressed the assembled crew in their language. The translation device on Kate's wrist, a gift from Kriara, converted her words. This human showed mercy when she could have shown fear, showed friendship when she could have shown dominance. She represents the potential of her species. Let us honor her courage by extending our knowledge, our protection, and our friendship to all humanity when they prove ready. The crew responded with sounds Kate was learning, meant approval and welcome. Kriara took Kate's hand. Come. Show you stars from my home. They climbed to an observation deck. As Earth grew smaller behind them, Kate saw the universe open up ahead. Countless stars, each potentially hosting life, civilizations, wonders beyond imagination. Scared? Kriara asked in halting English. Kate smiled, excited. Fear makes walls, excitement makes bridges. It was a profound observation from a being humanity had once considered a monster. Kate pulled out the picture book, now worn from constant use. We should make a new book, she said. About this, about us, so others learn. Kriara's eyes brightened. Yes, story of friends from different stars, show both our peoples, build understanding. They sat together as the ship jumped to faster-than-light travel, the stars streaking past in impossible beauty. Kate began writing notes. Ara, adding illustrations in the margins. The first collaborative work between human and this alien species. It wouldn't be perfect. There would be misunderstandings, challenges, moments of frustration, but they would face them together, building a foundation for something larger than either species alone. On Earth, Commander Lisa Grant stood in the empty guest quarters Kriara had occupied. She picked up a stylus the young alien had left behind, a gift perhaps, or just forgotten in the excitement of going home. She would keep it. A reminder that humanity's greatest strength wasn't weapons or technology. It was the capacity to look at something completely unknown and choose understanding over fear. The chains hadn't worked. The tranquilizers hadn't worked. Nothing had worked until Kate Morrison walked in with a children's book and the radical notion that an alien might need comfort more than control. Lisa smiled and pocketed the stylus. She had work to do. Protocols to rewrite. Training programs to develop. A whole world to prepare for the truth that they were no longer alone in the universe. And somewhere out there, racing toward a star cluster 47 light-years away, Kate Morrison was proving that humanity deserved a place among the stars. Not through conquest, through friendship. The ship arrived at Kriara's home system after what felt like mere hours, though the journey had actually taken 2 days. Kate spent that time learning the basics of Kriara's language, understanding the structure of their civilization, and marveling at technology that seemed to blend science and art into something transcendent. The homeworld came into view, a planet of deep purples and blues, with 3 moons dancing in orbital synchronization. Cities gleamed across continents, structures that grew from the landscape rather than being imposed upon it. Beautiful, Kate breathed. Home, Kriara said simply, pressing a hand to the viewing port with obvious longing. The ship descended toward the largest city. As they broke through the atmosphere, Kate saw crowds gathering, thousands of Kriara's people, all waiting to welcome their lost child home. The landing was gentle. When the doors opened, the sound was overwhelming. Not quite cheering, but a harmonic resonance that vibrated through Kate's bones. Celebration, relief, joy, all expressed in tones humanity had never heard. Kriara stepped out first, and was immediately engulfed by family. Kate counted at least 15 beings, all touching Kriara, all speaking at once. The young alien was crying, a sound like rainfall on metal. Eventually, Kriara extracted itself and gestured for Kate to come forward. The crowd quieted, thousands of dark eyes focusing on this strange, small creature from another world. Matriarch Visha spoke, her words amplified across the gathering. Kate's translator converted the speech. This human, Kate Morrison, saved our child when her people could have chosen cruelty. She represents the best of what intelligence can be, regardless of origin. We welcome her not as a curiosity, but as an honored guest and teacher. The crowd's response was that same harmonious sound, but gentler now, welcoming rather than celebrating. Kate felt overwhelmed. She'd expected scientific facilities, maybe a diplomatic meeting, not being welcomed by an entire civilization. A smaller alien, barely reaching Kate's waist, approached cautiously. It held out something that looked like a flower, though the petals moved independently. For you, it said through a child-sized translator. Thank you for finding Kriara. Kate accepted the gift, kneeling to the child's level. What's your name? Siren. Kriara is my teaching sibling. We learn the stars together. Then I hope we can be friends too. Siren's eyes widened with delight. The child turned and chirped something to the adults nearby. Within moments, more young aliens approached, curiosity overcoming caution. Kriara watched with obvious pleasure. You are good with younglings. They sense kindness. Over the following weeks, Kate settled into a role she hadn't anticipated. She became a bridge, yes, but also a teacher and student in equal measure. She taught classes on human culture, biology, and psychology. In return, she learned about a civilization that had been traveling the stars for millennia. The aliens, who called themselves the Kree collectively, had encountered hundreds of intelligent species. Some had joined their collective of allied worlds. Others had chosen isolation. A few had been hostile and were carefully monitored. Humans are young, Visha explained during one of their private discussions. Your species has barely left your home planet. But you show promise. Kriara's experience proves you can overcome instinctive fear. Not all of us, Kate cautioned. There were those who wanted to dissect Kriara, to study it like a specimen. That impulse exists in humans. It exists in all species at early stages of development. The question is whether you overcome it or let it define you. Kate considered this. What happened with the other species? The hostile ones? Visha's expression darkened. Some remained hostile. They spread through the stars as conquerors, viewing all other life as resources to exploit. We defend against them when necessary, but we do not seek to destroy. Every species has the potential to evolve beyond their worst impulses. Have any of the hostile ones ever changed? 3 in our recorded history. It took centuries, but yes. Understanding can grow, even in the harshest soil. That conversation shaped Kate's reports back to Earth. She sent regular transmissions detailing not just the wonder she witnessed, but the responsibilities that came with joining the galactic community. Humanity would need to prove itself not just technologically capable, but ethically mature. Meanwhile, her collaboration with Kriara continued. Their book project evolved into something significant. What started as a simple story became a comprehensive guide for first contact scenarios, blending human and Kree perspectives. They included the mistakes made during Kriara's capture, the fear, the violence, the misunderstandings, but also the breakthrough moments, the picture book, the shared food, the choice to see past differences. Other species need this, Kriara said as they worked. Many make same mistakes. Your people and mine can teach better way. The book was presented to the Kree Council 6 weeks after Kate's arrival. The response was immediate and enthusiastic. Copies would be distributed to all allied worlds, translated into hundreds of languages. Kate Morrison, who'd spent years in deep space never expecting recognition, suddenly found herself famous across multiple civilizations. The human who'd bridged a gap that others thought unbridgeable. But fame wasn't what drove her. On quiet evenings, she'd stand on the balcony of her quarters, looking up at stars she could now name in 3 different languages, and think about Earth. Her reports had sparked a revolution in human thinking. Commander Grant had shared the story widely, despite pressure from some governments to keep it classified. The truth was too important to hide. Humanity now knew, without doubt, that they weren't alone, and that their actions toward one terrified alien would define how they were perceived among the stars. Religious leaders reinterpreted texts. Philosophers debated consciousness and personhood. Scientists scrambled to understand Kree technology. Ordinary people simply marveled at the images Kate sent back, of cities and beings and wonders beyond imagination. Not everyone was happy. There were protests, fear-mongering, those who saw aliens as threats to be eliminated, but they were outnumbered by those who saw opportunity, wonder, and the chance to be part of something greater. Kate received a message from Lisa Grant during her 3rd month away. Morrison, your work here has changed everything. We're establishing a formal first contact division based on your protocols, training hundreds of people to approach the unknown with compassion first. The UN is creating a unified response framework. It's chaos, but good chaos, the kind that leads to growth. When you come back, we'll need you to lead this effort, whenever you're ready to come home. Kate showed the message to Kriara. You want to return? The alien asked. Eventually, but not yet. There's still so much to learn, and I think there's value in staying here and showing both our peoples that long-term cooperation works. Kriara made a pleased sound. Matriarch Visha will be happy. She has plans. What kind of plans? Cannot say yet, but good plans. Trust me. Kate had learned to trust Kriara completely. 2 weeks later, she understood why. Visha summoned her to the council chambers, a vast space where representatives from dozens of allied species gathered. Kate had met some during her stay, but seeing them all together was overwhelming. Beings of every size, shape, and form imaginable. Some bipedal like humans and Kree. Others radiated symmetrically or flowed like liquid, or existed partly in dimensions Kate couldn't fully perceive. Yet all could communicate, all worked together, all had chosen cooperation over isolation. Visha addressed the assembly. Kate Morrison has proposed, with Creata's collaboration, a framework for first contact that emphasizes empathy and mutual respect. We have reviewed their work. We find it exceptional. Kate felt hundreds of eyes and other sensory organs focus on her. Therefore, the Council proposes that Kate Morrison be granted the title of Ambassador with authority to facilitate first contact between humanity and any allied species. She would serve as humanity's voice in this assembly until such time as Earth is ready to send their own chosen representatives. The chamber erupted in that harmonious sound Kate had learned meant approval. Kate Morrison, Visha said formally, do you accept this responsibility? Kate's mind raced. Ambassador. Voice for all humanity. The weight of it was staggering. But she thought about that moment in Detention Block 7, the choice between fear and compassion, between seeing a monster and seeing a person. That choice had led here, to this chamber, to this moment where humanity could step forward as equals, not supplicants or conquerors. I accept, Kate said, her voice steady despite her racing heart, on the condition that I continue to learn from all of you, and that my authority is temporary until Earth can properly engage with this assembly. Agreed, Visha said. Welcome, Ambassador Morrison. You speak for humanity now. The formal ceremony lasted hours. Kate was presented with symbols of office, taught protocols, introduced to key representatives, her head spun with names, species characteristics, political nuances. Through it all, Kriara stayed close, offering quiet support. Finally, in the privacy of her quarters, Kate allowed herself to process what had happened. "I'm not qualified for this," she said aloud. Kriara, who'd followed her back, tilted its head. "You saved life when others saw only threat. You built friendship across impossible gap. What qualification is higher? Diplomatic training. Political experience. I'm just a field agent who got lucky." "No luck?" "Choice. You chose to see me." That choice changed everything. Kriara placed a gentle hand on Kate's shoulder. "Fear is easy. Understanding is hard."
You choose hard path every time. That makes you qualified.
Kate leaned into the touch, grateful for the support. "What happens now?" "Now you help shape humanity's future among stars. Council will send envoys to Earth. When your people are ready, you will guide the process. Make sure it goes better than my arrival." Kate laughed despite herself. "That's a low bar, but important bar. First impressions matter. You taught me this." Over the following months, Kate threw herself into her new role. She studied the histories of allied species, learning what had worked and what had failed in past first contacts. She attended council sessions, observing debates and decisions that affected billions of beings across hundreds of worlds. She also worked with Kriara to refine their first contact protocols. The book evolved into a comprehensive training program, used by multiple species to prepare their own people for encounters with new civilizations. And she sent regular, detailed reports to Earth. Not just dry diplomatic briefings, but personal observations. The wonder of watching a species that communicated through bioluminescence perform what could only be called a light opera. The humor of trying to eat dinner with a being whose metabolism required them to consume crystalline structures. Profound philosophical discussions with species whose perception of time was completely different from human experience. Earth devoured these reports. Kate's messages were broadcast globally, translated into every language, discussed in schools and universities. She became a symbol of humanity's potential, a reminder that their species could rise above its worst impulses. But she also included warnings. Not all species in the galaxy were friendly. The Council monitored several civilizations whose expansion was driven by conquest and exploitation. Humanity would need to be prepared to defend itself while also seeking peace. Commander Lisa Grant led the effort on Earth. First contact divisions were established in major nations. Training based on Kate's protocols became mandatory for anyone who might interact with alien species. Humanity was preparing, learning, growing. 6 months after accepting her ambassadorship, Kate received a priority transmission from Lisa. "Morrison, we're ready. The UN has voted to formally request a first contact delegation from the Council. We want to do this right. We want to prove we've learned from what happened with Kriara." Kate felt a surge of pride. 6 months ago, humanity had imprisoned and tortured a lost child out of fear. Now they were ready to extend genuine welcome. She brought the request to the Council. Visha smiled, a gesture she'd learned from Kate. "We have been waiting for this moment. Ambassador Morrison, you will lead the delegation. Choose 5 representatives from allied species. Return to your homeworld and facilitate proper first contact." Kate's heart leaped. She was going home. But not alone. She would bring proof that humanity's choice to change, to grow, had been recognized and honored. Choosing the delegation was challenging. So many species wanted to participate. Finally, Kate selected based on diversity and temperament. Visha would come, representing the Kree. A being named Chorus, from a species that existed as a collective consciousness of small flying creatures, brought a completely different perspective on individuality and community. Tem, a crystalline being whose species communicated through resonance and vibration, would challenge human assumptions about what life could be. Rala, from an aquatic species, would require special accommodations but represented the principle that all environments hosted intelligence. And finally, young Siren, Kriara's teaching sibling, who'd been fascinated by humans since Kate's arrival. "I am too young for this honor," our Siren protested. "You're the perfect reminder that every species starts as children, learning about the universe," Kate countered. "Your presence shows we invest in the future, not just the present." The journey back to Earth took 3 days. Kate spent them preparing her delegates, briefing them on human culture, warning them about the fear and wonder they'd encounter. Some humans will welcome you. Others will be frightened. Both reactions are valid. Our job is to show that peaceful coexistence is possible. As Earth appeared in the viewports, blue and beautiful and heartbreakingly familiar, Kate felt tears on her face. Home. She was coming home. Changed, grown, but still fundamentally herself. The ship entered orbit. Kate sent a transmission to Commander Grant. "We're here? Permission to land?" Lisa's response came immediately. "Permission granted. Welcome home, Ambassador." The world is watching. The ship descended toward a landing site in Geneva, chosen for its international significance. Kate watched through cameras as millions gathered, both in person and virtually, to witness this moment. First official contact between humanity and the galactic community. As the ship touched down with impossible grace, Kate stood with her delegation at the doors. "Ready?" she asked. Visha nodded. Chorus hummed in harmonics that sounded like agreement. Tem resonated confirmation. Rala's translator spoke her readiness. Siren gripped Kate's hand, nervous but excited. The doors opened. Sunlight streamed in. The roar of the crowd was deafening. Kate Morrison stepped out first, an ordinary human who'd done something extraordinary. Behind her came beings from distant stars, each representing civilizations that had chosen to see humanity's potential rather than their flaws. Commander Lisa Grant waited at the base of the ramp, flanked by leaders from nations across Earth. She stepped forward and extended her hand. "Welcome to Earth, Ambassador Morrison. You brought them home." Kate shook her hand, then gestured to her companions. "Commander Grant, on behalf of humanity, allow me to introduce our neighbors among the stars." One by one, the delegation descended. Each leader in turn greeted them, some with more ease than others, but all with genuine respect. And in detention facilities, laboratories, and military bases around the world, protocols were being rewritten. The chains were being dismantled. The tranquilizers were being discarded. Because humanity had learned that the most powerful tool for navigating the universe wasn't weapons or restraints. It was a simple willingness to see the person behind the unknown face, and to respond with compassion instead of fear. Kate Morrison had walked into certain death with nothing but a children's book, and she'd walked back out with the stars themselves following her home. The first formal meeting took place in a carefully prepared chamber. Human leaders sat across from the alien delegation, with Kate serving as mediator. Translation technology ensured everyone could communicate, though the nuances sometimes required clarification. Secretary General Carlos Martinez opened the discussion. "On behalf of humanity, I want to express our gratitude for this opportunity. We understand that our initial encounter with Kriara did not reflect our values or aspirations." Visha inclined her head. "Every species makes mistakes when confronted with the unknown. What matters is that you recognized your error and chose growth. That capacity for change is why we are here." The conversation flowed from there. Practical matters at first. Establishing communication protocols, discussing potential exchange programs, outlining safety parameters for future contacts. But the real breakthrough came when Siren, who'd been sitting quietly, suddenly spoke up. "Excuse me, but can I ask a question?" Martinez smiled. "Of course. Why did humans hurt Kriara at first?" "Kriara says you were afraid, but I do not understand. Kriara is not scary." The adults shifted uncomfortably. It was Kate who answered. "To you, Kriara is familiar. To us, at that time, Kriara was the first proof that we weren't alone in the universe. That's terrifying when you're not prepared for it. We reacted to that fear badly." Siren considered this. But Kate Morrison was not afraid. "I was terrified," Kate admitted. "But I'd learned to ask myself a question when I'm scared. I ask, what if this being is just as frightened as I am? That changes everything." "That is wise," Siren said seriously. "I will remember this." The simple exchange broke the tension. Laughter rippled through both groups, a shared recognition of how a child's question could cut through diplomatic complexity to reach fundamental truth. Over the next weeks, the delegation toured Earth. They visited cities and wilderness areas, met with scientists and artists, children and elders. Each encounter was carefully managed, but genuine connections formed. Tem, the crystalline being, spent hours with human musicians, creating resonances that blended alien and human instruments into something entirely new. The resulting concert was attended by millions. Chorus, the collective consciousness, met with internet communities and social networks, fascinated by how humans created similar collective experiences through technology. Rala required water-filled environments but charmed oceanographers and marine biologists with insights into aquatic ecosystems they'd never considered. And Kriara, who'd arrived 2 weeks after the initial delegation, became something of a celebrity, the alien who'd survived capture and helped bridge two worlds. Children wrote letters, adults asked for autographs. Through it all, Kate watched humanity respond. There was fear, yes. Protests in some cities, conspiracy theories proliferating online, but they were outweighed by wonder, curiosity, and hope. She met privately with world leaders, offering guidance based on her months in the galactic community. The Council won't grant Earth membership for years, possibly decades, she explained in one such meeting. We have to prove ourselves through consistent action, not just words. That means establishing ethical guidelines for space exploration, demonstrating we can manage our own conflicts peacefully, and showing we respect all forms of intelligence.
That's a high bar, one leader observed.
It should be. The galaxy is vast and dangerous. The Council protects its members, but they need to know we won't become a threat ourselves. What about defense? A military advisor asked. You mentioned hostile species. How do we protect ourselves? The Council shares defensive technology with allied worlds.
But there's a catch. You have to prove you won't use it offensively.
Every weapon system is monitored. Any aggressive action gets you expelled from the Alliance and potentially marked as a threat. So we're expected to trust them completely? Kate met his eyes. They're trusting us by being here, on our world. If we wanted, we could try to capture them, study them, repeat what happened with Kriara. The fact that we're not doing that is our first test. The advisor nodded slowly, understanding the deeper lesson. 3 months into the delegation's visit, Visha requested a private meeting with Kate and Commander Grant. The Council has made a decision, she said. Earth will be granted provisional membership in the Alliance. This is unprecedented. Usually species wait decades after first contact. But your rapid transformation, your willingness to learn, and Ambassador Morrison's advocacy have convinced us to accelerate the process. Kate felt dizzy with the implications. What does provisional membership mean? Access to basic technology, medical advances, clean energy systems, sustainable agriculture methods, not weapons, not advanced space travel. Those come later after you've proven stability. You'll also get a permanent seat at council sessions, though, without voting rights initially. What's the timeline for full membership, Grant asked. 5 to 10 years if progress continues. We'll monitor how you implement our technologies, how you manage internal conflicts, how you treat new alien contacts. Visha's expression grew serious. But understand this. If humanity reverts to violence, if you abuse the gifts we share, membership will be revoked. We've had to do this twice in our history. It's painful for everyone involved. We won't fail, Kate said. I believe you, Visha replied. But you are one human. Can you speak for 8 billion? The question hung heavy. Kate thought about the protests, the fear-mongering, the very real possibility that humanity might not rise to this challenge. No, she admitted, but I can help teach them. We can create systems, institutions, education programs that reinforce the values we need to maintain this alliance. Then that will be your task, Ambassador. Return to the Council with us. Serve as humanity's voice, but also send teachers back to Earth. People you trust to spread the lessons you've learned. Kate nodded. It meant leaving Earth again, but this time with a clear purpose and timeline. The announcement of provisional membership was met with global celebration. Stock markets soared on the promise of new technology. Universities established xenology departments overnight. Children wore alien costumes and played first contact games. But there was also backlash. Religious extremists declared it a trick of the devil. Nationalist groups called it a surrender of sovereignty. Fearmongers predicted humanity would become slaves to superior technology. Kate addressed these concerns in a global broadcast. I understand the fear. Change is terrifying, especially change this profound. But I've lived among these beings. I've seen their civilizations. They don't want to control us. They want partners, not subjects. Yes, there are risks. Yes, we'll make mistakes. But isolation is not safety. It's stagnation. The universe is vast and full of wonders and dangers. We need allies. And we're being offered that alliance freely, as equals in potential, if not yet in capability. She paused, thinking of Kriera and that detention cell. Of the choice she'd made to see a person instead of a threat. Every human watching this has the same choice I had. We can respond to the unknown with fear and violence, or with curiosity and compassion. Our future depends on which we choose. I'm asking you to choose growth. Choose understanding. Choose the stars. The broadcast reached billions. Polls showed a shift in public opinion. Not complete acceptance, but movement toward it. 2 weeks later, Kate prepared to return to the council. She'd selected her team of teachers. Scientists, educators, diplomats, people she trusted to continue her work on Earth. Dr. Hayes was among them. "You changed my perspective completely," he told her before she left. "I thought scientific detachment was the answer. You showed me that empathy and science aren't opposites. They're complements. Just remember, Kate said, every being you meet, human or alien, is having their own experience of reality. Honor that, and you'll do fine." Commander Grant came to see her off personally. "You did something impossible, Morrison. You gave humanity hope for a future we didn't know existed. I just made a choice. The same choice everyone has to make when they encounter someone different. See the person or see the threat?" Kate smiled. "Humanity is choosing to see the person now. That's not my doing. That's everyone's effort. Still, we'll miss you. I'll be back, and I'll send messages constantly. Earth is my home. It always will be." The ship lifted off from Geneva as the sun set. Kate watched Earth shrink below her, this time with no tears. She was going back to her work, her purpose, her place in the larger universe. Kriara joined her at the viewport. "Ready for next adventure?" "Always." "What's next?" "Council wants you to mediate first contact between two species that have been avoiding each other for centuries."
Old grudge.
"You will help them see past it." Kate laughed. "No pressure, then. You make impossible look easy." "They have faith in you." As Earth disappeared from view and the stars opened up ahead, Kate thought about chains and tranquilizers and all the ways intelligence could try to control what it didn't understand. Then she thought about picture books and shared meals and the simple act of sitting down with someone different and choosing to listen. Those were the real tools for navigating the universe. Not weapons. Not restraints. Just the willingness to see another being's fear and respond with compassion. Kate Morrison had learned that lesson in a detention block facing a terrified alien. Now she would spend her life teaching it to anyone who would listen, proving that humanity deserved its place among the stars not through conquest or dominance, but through the simple revolutionary act of choosing friendship over fear. The ship jumped to faster-than-light travel, and Kate settled in for the journey ahead, ready for whatever the universe had in store, because she'd learned the greatest truth of all. The unknown was only frightening until you chose to understand it, and understanding changed everything.